What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the Riot. So check this out. As you can see, as you can tell, I'm pretty along in my years, right? Like I'm no longer the young cat I used to be, and that's fine. I've accepted that. And with that, I have kind of developed this lifestyle lately where I try not to waste the precious time that I have left. And one of the ways I go about that is by not watching bad movies or TV shows, right? That I know are going to be bad. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good bad movie. Love it, right? The Room by famed director Tommy Wiseau. I have seen that movie an embarrassing amount of times. So I love a good bad movie. But as we know, there's nothing worse than just a straight up bad movie or a TV show, like I'm about to get into right now. So some of y'all have probably heard of this show, Velma. Velma is the Scooby-Doo, I don't know if it's a spinoff, prequel, maybe both. It's a property of Scooby-Doo, and it's the passion project of Mindy Kaling. Now, if you don't know who Mindy Kaling is, she played Kelly Kapoor in one of my favorite shows, The Office. And not only did she play a part in the show, she actually had some creative influence on the show as well. Like she worked behind the scenes. So she's, she knows what she's doing comedy wise. Like she's pretty talented in that way. I know she had her own self-titled show. I think it was the Mindy Kaling Project that went like 6 seasons. And she's also been producer on another HBO show called The Sex Lives of College Girls, which I actually really like. I think it's a funny show. I think it's witty. I think it's smart. So Mindy knows how to do comedy. And that's why I can't understand why Velma was the trash that it is. Right? And wow, man, if I'm going to get into why it's bad, it's all about the writing. The writing is just terrible. The writing is god awful, right? It's written like a stand-up comedian is trying out bits for an audience. You know what I mean? And it's trying to be smarter than it really is. And Velma herself is so unlikable. I mean, the whole cast is pretty unlikable, but she is so unlikable, right? Like, look, we all grew up with Scooby-Doo. We all know Scooby-Doo, okay? I'm not even a fan of Scooby-Doo, and I know Scooby-Doo, right? I mean, growing up in the 80s, we only had one TV, and that one TV had 7 channels. And of those 7 channels, only 2 of those showed cartoons. So there was a time when coming home from school, Scooby-Doo was literally the only cartoon on. So of course I watched it, but I would never say that I was a fan of the show. And throughout the years, there have been live action movies based on the property. There have been new iterations of the cartoon over the past couple of years. So every generation has had their version of Scooby-Doo. And within those versions, the consistent thing was the cast was likable, right? I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, the stories are cheesy and campy and corny, which they're supposed to be. But the cast is likable, and that's why we keep coming back to it. So Velma decided, what if we made the whole cast unlikable? Let's take a whole different spin on it. Let's just make everybody unlikable. And they succeeded because there's not one likable person on this show. In fact, let me bring up the rest of the cast. So along with Velma and her unlikable ass, we have the rest of the cast of Scooby-Doo. We have Norville, who is Shaggy, and he's basically a race-swapped beta male cuck who's in love with Velma, doesn't know how to tell her because he's a beta male cuck, and therefore he becomes the effeminate best friend, right? Then we have Daphne, raised by 2 women for some reason. Because it's 2003, whatever, right? She is a complete bitch in the show. Well, so far, a complete bitch. And Her story is her and Velma were friends at one point, I believe, and then they got older. She got hotter. Velma stayed a troll, and so they grew apart. That's it. That's it. That's Daphne's whole story. Oh boy, and now we come to White Boy Fred. Oh, Fred, man. Let me tell you guys right now, just right off the bat, they did Fred dirty. They did him dirty, y'all. Like, here's the thing. I don't even have to tell you what they did to Fred. You can guess right now. Just guess right now what this woke show did to Fred. So Fred is a rich, privileged man baby who's also racist, sexist, and every other kind of ist. Because, of course, right? Straight white guy has to be all of those. Fred is exactly the character you think he would be, written by the type of people who wrote that character. And with that, none of them are likable. And also, Scooby-Doo is not in the show for a few reasons, but from what I read recently, they don't have the rights to Scooby-Doo, but they have the rights to the rest of the Scooby gang. Makes zero sense to me, but at this point, I don't even care. This show is bad on so many levels, right? So many levels. But the biggest problem with this show for me is I don't really know who they're writing this for. Because the show is woke, but they also make fun of wokeness. So I don't understand who they're trying to target with this, right? Because if you were just going for a woke crowd, right? If Mindy Kaling was going for a woke crowd, I would understand the show being woke. I may not agree with it, but I understand that's what she was going for, right? But it doesn't seem like she really knows who her audience is with this. That's one thing. Another thing is, because of the adult nature of the show, I don't know who she's targeting. It's too goofy or too kiddish for adults and way too adult for kids. So again, I don't know who she's targeting with this, right? Not to mention, there are just some cringe nudity scenes in this cartoon about high school girls, right? Like there's a whole shower scene where, they're showing their bare ass, they're showing tits. And I'm thinking, if this isn't for kids, why are grown people watching teenage girls naked in the shower, right? None of this makes sense. Now, I could just be overly critical because I am a critic, I am a film critic, and my job is to kind of pick things apart. But I didn't even have to pick this show apart. It did it itself. And I thought, well, maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm tripping. And maybe my friends are tripping, right? So I decided to do a little dive and see what the ratings are for this show. And they are abysmal, y'all. They're abysmal. I think Google, it was like 1.3 out of 5 stars. On Rotten Tomatoes, which is super liberal and woke, even they gave it like something like a 30%. I think it might be even less than that now, but they did give it a 30% last time I checked. Like, this show is bad. If Rotten Tomatoes won't even give it a boost, right? I know Mindy Kaling can do better than this. Like, I know that because I've seen her work. I know she's better than this. And to make things worse, though, for her is instead of just saying, yeah, I kind of shit the bed on this, she is attacking fans like the trend is nowadays, right? The trend is if fans don't like what's happening, we are the problem, right? We're the problem. Not you, not the writers. We're the problem. It's our bigotry as to why your show is failing, right? I'm a little disappointed in her, especially for someone who I know can do comedy in a very smart way. For her to blame us for this show being a failure, I just it's weak sauce, man. It's weak sauce. But guess what? HBO approved the second season. As shitty as the ratings are, as bad as the show is, as bad as the reviews have been, they looked at that and said, you know what, Mindy, we want you to do a second season. Now, here's what's funny. The first season isn't even over yet. I only saw 4 episodes, and that's all they have loaded up right now is 4 episodes. So I have seen the most current episode, which means they have more episodes to go. So it's only going to get worse, I assume. Like, I can't imagine all of a sudden by the 5th episode, it's going to be good now, right? It's going to get better. I mean, it's I can't see it. But HBO, with those ratings, with those reviews, said, you know what, Mindy? Let's do another one. I don't know. When I do know. Mindy Kaling does have a lot of pull in Hollywood. She has pull. So even if the show is a failure, they're going to give it to her no matter what. And from what I gathered, her other show is doing so well, The Sex Lives of College Girls, that they want to stay in good faith with her, right? So I get it. I get it. But I would hope that she would at least learn the lesson, which I'm sure she won't. But at least take the lesson of this current failure and maybe in the second season hire a new writing staff. Right? Like, just hire some new writers, get some new ideas going, try to reel it in. You know, you could even say the first season was a dream. She dreamed the whole first season. She dreamed that she was this unlikable troll, right? And then just start fresh. Like, just something. Because from what I've seen, no one is watching a second season of this. No one. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. If you want to watch it, by all means, like I said, never take a critic at his word. Even me. I tell people all the time, look, this is just my opinion. If you really want to watch something, watch it. Watch it. Do the thing that you want to do. Don't let someone tell you not to. If you value your time, though, I would advise you pick something a little bit more constructive. Just a little bit. Because there are better things out there. Look, The Last of Us, right? If you're going to watch something on HBO Max, watch that. But it's up to you, right? You do you. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. I really don't have that much to say about this other than it's bad. And if you agree with me, leave a comment. In fact, please leave a comment because I can't be the only one who has seen this terrible show. So please let me know what y'all think. Leave a like for the video if you can. By all means, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who have subscribed, you know I think you're rock stars and I love you. And I will talk to you guys soon.